A great professional wrestling match is honestly one of the best things I've seen in my entire life. I've seen Michael Jordan go from the free throw line and slam dunk the basketball and win 6 championships. I've seen someone like a Tom Brady go out there and win Super Bowl after Super Bowl with just effortless technique and skill. I've seen Phil Jackson put together some of the greatest dynasties in basketball history. I've grew up in New York City and seen the New York Yankees win championship after championship from me being a little boy to being a grown ass man. And as a grown ass man, my disembodied voice is here to tell you about the top 20 best wrestling matches of 2023 as voted on by the team here at True Hill Heat, as well as our friends around the wrestling world, wrestling media, professional wrestling fans of and viewers of the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. So we want to thank you all for joining us here for the great honor that we are about to distinguish to the top 20 best matches as voted on by us. But we appreciate you for joining us. Show that appreciation back. Drop a thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. And if you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. Like all of our other year-end lists. We went out and we gave you a bunch of them at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year. This one is coming at the end of January because we had a couple of late entries, late nominees that we had to put in to really give you a fleshed out list of the top 20 best matches of 2023. So we want to thank everyone who voted. We want to thank everyone who's watching. And it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. Without further ado, let's get into the top 20 best matches of 2023 here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. Coming in at number 20 with 2 nominations, 5 points overall from AEW. AEW Double or Nothing 2023. It was the Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club. It was Anarchy in the Arena too, and these are one of the 8 of the best wrestlers in the world today, and they had an insane fireworks inducing matchup. And just to try to live up to Anarchy in the Arena 1 was a heavy obstacle for all of these competitors, but they did a great job. This was rated 5 stars by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and well deserving of being number 20 here on the top 20 best matches of 2023. Coming in at number 19 with also 5 points, but with 3 nominations overall, giving it the edge just over Anarchy in the Arena 2. We have from WWE WrestleMania 39 Night 1, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. What many have called not only one of the greatest women's matches in WrestleMania history, one of the greatest women's matches of all time, putting up there, elevating the star, making a star out of Rhea Ripley, redeeming herself for her loss back at WrestleMania 36 in 2020 in the pandemic, and in front of 60,000 people in Los Angeles, Rhea Ripley defeating Charlotte Flair. Coming in at number 18 with 6 points overall, also on 3 nominations, giving it 1 point over Rhea and Charlotte. From New Japan Pro Wrestling's Destruction in Kobe, Will Ospreay versus Yota Tsuji for the IWGP United States Championship. Another star-making performance for Yota Tsuji, who really had the best match of his career so far. One of the most improved wrestlers of 2023, really going hove for hove, move for move, pace for pace, nearly 30 minutes with one of the best wrestlers in the world, if not the best wrestler in the world. And Will Ospreay is a name that I get used to, folks. I get used to. We're going back to Japan for number 17, folks. And this is a special one because this came on late nominations. This was not going to be included on our list, but a couple of people who are Peruso fans, who are Japanese professional wrestling fans, voted for this one. From Pro Wrestling Noah's One Night Dream, with 7 points, 2 nominations overall, we have Kasahoki Nakajima versus Kento Miyahara. Miyahara versus Nakajima won, which, I mean, if you wanted to, we could have got some late votes for their second matchup in December, but this one was just a hard hitting matchup that lived up to the hype. This was built up as a dream match, cross promotional, with Nakajima being one of the aces, one of the workhorses of Pro Wrestling Noah, going against the ace of all Japan Pro Wrestling. And this lived up to the hype in Kurgan Hall, one of the best arenas in all of professional wrestling. And this was a fired up crowd for a hard hitting, blistering banger of a matchup. If you haven't already, which I know a lot of you haven't, go out of your way to go back and watch this one. And we're staying over in Japan for number 16 on our list. Number 16 on our list, coming in from STARDOM. Yes, from STARDOM, we have Julia going one-on-one with Tam Nakano. These two ladies have quite the history with one another, longtime rivals. These two ladies going back to their wars over the Wonder of Stardom Championship. But here in this matchup for the World of Stardom Championship in front of the biggest crowd in Stardom history, they lived up to the hype. These two women going out there looking elegant as can be with the all white in front of 10,000 people in Yokohama Arena. And this one was hard hitting as hell as well. The ending with the big one night dream suplex with the bridge by Tam Nakano. These two ladies have great chemistry with one another, and I gave it 5 stars, but Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter rated this match 4.75 stars. Now we're into the top 15, folks, and we're staying over in Japan. Yep, we're staying over in Japan. Sorry if you're disappointed. If you didn't see any of these matches, hey, you got homework to do. We have from the G1 Climax 33 for New Japan Pro Wrestling, Kashika Okada going one-on-one with Tetsuya Naito. These two men have quite the history with one another. Wrestle Kingdom after Wrestle Kingdom in the main event scene. These are two of the faces of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and this quite possibly is their final match with one another after recent news in 2024. So it's great I'm filming this afterwards. Isn't it great, guys? Yes, I know it's great. But yes, this might be their final clash with one another. And it was in the finals of the G1 Climax tournament. Naito coming off the heels of a matchup with someone else that we're going to mention pretty soon here, folks. A lot of times. But he came off the heels of a hard-hitting 30-minute banger on the night before in the semifinals. Okada defeating Evil in the semifinals, and these two men went out there and put on an absolute war. This was a hard-hitting matchup. Shots to the neck, drops on the neck, hard-hitting shots on the apron, on the floor. These two guys are known for their classics, and this is one that will go up there with all of them. Rated 5 stars in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, rated 5 stars by me. This is one that if you haven't already, you should have watched it already. But if you haven't, it's okay. Go back and watch it. Number 15, no, number 14 on our list. See, I'm just winging it, guys. I'm just going with it. Number 14 on our list. There's a lot of matches here. And it also has 8 points, but with 4 nominations overall, giving it the edge over Okada versus Naito. We have from AEW Dynamite on March 22nd, 2023, Kenny Omega versus El Hijo del Vikingo. And this one, man, This is how you another one where you make a star. We talked about it with Rhea versus Charlotte. We talked about it with so many different matches on this list already, whether it be Rhea versus Charlotte, whether it be Yota Tsuji versus Will Ospreay. This is how you make stars, folks. You go out there, you put on a classic matchup, and everybody was speaking the name of Vikingo after this one. Hey, there's another one. If you haven't, if you're just a WWE fan, just a New Japan fan, just a Japanese professional wrestling fan, this is one that you will instantly see and say, I want to see more of Vikingo. And I don't think Vikingo has looked as awesome as he did against Kenny Omega, against anyone else in AEW. He's had some great matches in AAA, so check him out over there. But this was one that really put him on center stage on a mainstream major promotion in professional wrestling. Number 13 on our list, we're staying in All Elite Wrestling and we're going to AEW Collision from July 15th, 2023. Man, I had to wing that one too. I had to remember the date, folks. And another one with 8 points, but this one on 3 nominations. But the one that it gets the edge over Omega and Vikingo and Okada and Naito because it has one first place vote. FTR defending the AEW World Tag Team Championships against Bullet Club Gold, Switchblade Jay White, and Rock Hard, Juice Robinson. This is one where two teams just instantly had chemistry. The week before, they put on a tremendous 30-minute bout. And it was like, how can they even get close to that one? How can they be as great as that one? They go out there and go 58 minutes on TNT on a Saturday night. This is still to date the best match on Collision ever. And I don't think it's going to be topped for a very, very long time. Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter rated this match 5.25 stars. Man, this is one to always go back and watch because it may be up there in even though FTR has one of the greatest catalogs in tag team wrestling history, especially in this decade, this may be one of their best matches ever, if not the best. And Jay White proven once again why he is maybe the perfect heel professional wrestler, cutting off Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler at certain times, being there for Juice Robinson. Just the different, his pacing of this matchup was tremendous, and Juice Robinson rising to the occasion in his best match ever. Number 12 on our list. We're staying in all elite wrestling. I know, folks. I know, folks. Calm down. We'll get out of the AEW, the Converse, very soon. But coming in at number 12 with 9 points overall on 3 nominations, it is Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page, Texas Death Match from AEW Revolution. And up to this point, I would have said after this matchup, this is the best Texas death match AEW has ever put on. The violence, the level of just brutality. You had Moxley pulling out a break, pulling out barbed wire, pulled out a freaking fork and stabbed Hangman Page in the head. And then Moxley nearly died because Hangman hung him with a steel chain across the rope. He had to tap out. Jon Moxley tapping out. What a match. 11 on our list. Staying in AEW still. I know, I didn't lie. We're getting out of it right after this. Number 11 on our list with 10 points overall, one first place vote, 3 nominations overall. It is Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks strap match for the at AEW All Out, and Bryan Danielson stepped in into the occasion, into the feet, into the shoes of CM Punk, who was feuding with Ricky Starks and planned to main event this All Out show in Chicago, and no one was left disappointed after this one. I was there live, and these straps, these whips that Bryan gave to Ricky were some of the loudest things. They felt like thunder. They were reverberating throughout the United Center. It was one of the greatest experiences that I've ever had being there live. You had Bryan coming out the final countdown right before, and another one that's a star-making performance for somebody where this is the greatest match of Ricky Stark's career, and he has the stone cold finish where he doesn't quit. He has to pass out because Bryan wraps the strap around his neck in the label lock. Whew, this was a war. And we enter the top 10, folks. Coming in at number 10. And yes, we are finally out of the Converse for now. We go to TNA Impact Wrestling at the time. And yes, it is Impact Bound for Glory 2023. Will Ospreay going one-on-one with Speedball Mike Bailey. And some people have called this the greatest match in TNA history. These two men went out there and just had a state-of-the-art just spot fest. It was a spot fest for better or worse, but it did tell a great story of Will just being so confident and so cocky of being the best wrestler in the world and underestimating Speedball, and Speedball having to rise to the occasion and really put Will on his back knees and having to pull out things out of his wheel chest that he very rarely uses, like the Styles Clash and different type of moves, different type of variations into the moves, different counters out of moves into the hidden blade, and just the sequences, the pacing, the speed, unreal. These two guys, go out of your way if you haven't already. Impact Wrestling is back as TNA, and I'm glad to tell y'all, Will Ospreay is probably going to be on this list next year for what he did with Josh Alexander on the first episode of TNA Impact. Number 9 on our list, we go to number 9, and folks, we're going over to Japan again. New Japan Pro Wrestling Power Struggle. It was Will Ospreay once again defending the IWGP United States Championship against Shota Umino. 13 points overall, one first place vote, 4 nominations. And this was another star-making performance when someone comes up and just proves something and shows a little something, shows a little edge that they didn't show before, and has to show that dog in them. That was Shota Umino. Shota Umino got the look that's reminiscent of Hiroshi Tanahashi. He has the attitude of a John Moxley mixed with a Tetsuya Naito, and he has the kind of the look of the old Tetsuya Naito a little bit mixed with Hiroshi Tanahashi. He's got the father that's the referee in this matchup, but he had to show the fight in him to show the different type of sequences that he can keep up with one of the best wrestlers ever that's ever stepped foot into a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring, and someone that has really kind of groomed him, for better word or worse. That was a worse word, I'm sorry, but that has helped him so much throughout his career, from when he was a young lion to going to the UK and going through that system and learning that art. And he has elevated himself to be the man that a lot of people is calling the new ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And after this matchup, this is the one that made him a star and made people feel like he is ready for that mantle. And it was rated 5.5 stars by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, 5 stars by. At number 8, we have another 5-star rated match from Dave Meltzer from WWE. WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, WrestleMania 39. It was the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the peak of this bloodline storyline that is still ongoing, but it hit its peak at WrestleMania 39, night 1, when Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, the honorary Us, who gained the trust of the bloodline, gained the trust of both Usos, had the great angle where he turned his back on the bloodline, choosing his best friend of years, the whole ups and downs that they had where Sammy and Kevin couldn't get on the same page, the great matchup at Elimination Chamber, them coming together and reuniting weeks before them beating the Usos, ending the longest reign of the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions WWE has ever seen. And they did it in front of 60,000 people in the main event of WrestleMania. It don't get no better than that, folks. Coming in at number 7. Number 7, this one was rated, broke the scale for Dave. From the G1 Climax 33 from New Japan Pro Wrestling, Tetsuya Naito going one-on-one with Will Ospreay from the G1 Climax 33 semifinals. This one rated 6 stars in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. And honestly, I can't argue with Dave. I gave the match 5 stars, or 5 plus stars. It deserves that much because this one is an epic that ends with basically Tetsuya Naito becoming concussed off of a hidden blade, and still Will Ospreay is able to give a destino to himself where he lands right on his neck perfectly. What a matchup. What a story was told. This was an epic, just the sequences, the storytelling, it's just epic, great professional wrestling, but in Japanese, it just has that aura and that crowd environment. The crowd noise is just different in Japan when they care, and they care about Naito there, and they wanted to see him win and make it to the finals, and he did just that. Number 6 on our list, we're going back to All Elite Wrestling, folks. I'm sorry. From AEW Wrestle Dream, it is Bryan Danielson going one-on-one with Zack Sabre Jr. This one was billed as a dream match, billed as one of the greatest technical wrestling matches of all time. And in my eyes, this is the greatest technical wrestling match I have ever seen. This is a match that also I gave 5+ stars because it deserves billions of stars, because the storytelling from Zack Sabre Jr. goading Bryan into using his injured arm, to the different sequences on the mat when they're going hold for hold, going on the top of their head and slapping each other, the hard hitting strikes, the commentary from Nigel McGuinness and Jon Moxley. This is just immaculate professional wrestling on every single level. Man, what a classic. Number 5, we're in the top 5, folks, and we're going back to WWE WrestleMania 39, but this time, night 2, it is Gunther defending the WWE Intercontinental Championship against Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. This was kind of the sequel to the classic that we saw at WrestleMania at Clash at the Castle, that actually I think was number 1 on our list last year, or won the match of the year for the True Heel Heat year-end awards. And overall, this got 26 points, 2 first place votes, 9 nominations, and well deserving, because these 3 guys just went out there and had one of the most hard-hitting matches in WWE history, WrestleMania history. We have never seen anything like this on a big scale in front of 60,000 people on that WrestleMania platform. Gunther is the best bout machine of WWE, and this one is on the mantle as probably his greatest. Number 4 on our list with 27 points overall, 1 first place vote, 8 nominations, and don't worry, folks, I'm going to put all the voting and the numbers in the description because I know I skipped on some. We have from AEW Full Gear, it is Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland, Texas Death Match. 27 points, 1 first place vote, 8 nominations, and just one of the most brutal, bloodiest wars, not only in AEW history, in wrestling history. The feud that they had going in was immaculate, and this was just a culmination of it. The hatred, the drama, the emotion, the blood, the brutality, the violence, the blood, the drinking of the blood, Hangman being hung. Oh, Swerve Strickland, and another star-making performance. Swerve Strickland, he was already a star before this, but he was just destined. He's destined to become the AEW World Champion after getting back-to-back victories over a former AEW World Champion, Swerve Strickland, in 2024. I'm sure he's going to make our list for the best matches of 2024 as well. Number 3 on our list, with 29 points, 2 first place votes, 9 nominations overall. MJF defending the AEW World Championship in a 60-minute time limit Iron Man match against Bryan Danielson. The story they had going in that Bryan was the better wrestler, that he can make MJF go through the paces, and that MJF couldn't keep up with them. But MJF did just that, despite having water breaks and having oxygen tanks being brought in for him. Despite both men losing so much blood, this one was the greatest Iron Man match of all time. No Iron Man match has had this much action, this much storytelling, this much story detail, attention to detail. It's just so much great stuff. And then the finish with Bryan choosing his family and being able to pick up his kids and not have MJF be right in that he wasn't going to be able to pick up his kids after going 60 minutes with the AEW World Champion. He having to tap out. This one was another one that kind of elevated MJF, and it just showed how great Bryan Danielson is because he had one of his greatest matches of all time here. Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Observer Newsletter, rated this one 5.75 stars. And here we are, the top two on our list, and this might not be a surprise for many people. Coming in at number 2 on our list, it is the second match between Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay from AEW NJPW Forbidden Door 2023. 38 points overall on 10 nominations, 3 first place votes. This one had to live up to one of the greatest matches that any of us have seen. But even on the Tokyo Dome stage, a lot of these matches are iconic. And their matchup on January 1st was that. And they had to live up to that. In Toronto, this crowd was even hotter than the crowd in the Tokyo Dome. They were vibrant. They were ready for this matchup, and just they saw unreal violence. These two men went out there and brutalized one another and told a great story, with Will putting on one of his best heel performances, Kenny playing this fired up underdog babyface who had to fight from underneath, fight through the Don Callis interference, fight through screwdrivers, Will using the one ring angel to kick out at one, the foot on the rope. Just so many classic moments in this matchup. Will wiping his ass with the Canadian flag. You got Will getting DDT'd on the steel steps, the blood on the steel steps. Just a classic battle. Many people call this the greatest match in AEW history. And no surprise here. Number 1 on our list. Yeah, I kind of talked about it before, didn't I? No surprise here. From NJPW, Wrestle Kingdom 17, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay on 43 points overall, 9 nominations, 5 first place votes. Man, this one was another one that had to live up to a lot of hype. These two men are known as two of the greatest in-ring performers of the past 2 decades in New Japan Pro Wrestling history, in Gaijin New Japan Pro Wrestling history, in just the current generation. People just look at these guys as inspirations for what they are able to do in the ring. They do unreal things and they tell great intricate stories that captivate so many people and that have elevated New Japan Pro Wrestling to the next level. And they did just that again at Wrestle Kingdom 17 for 30 plus minutes. They went out there and just told a great story, with Will trying to keep Kenny on his back foot, trying to bring the violence to Kenny, but Kenny bringing the violence right back to Will, busting open Will, DDTs on the exposed turnbuckle. You had the one wing angel, the hidden blades, just back and forth, Oz cutters, hard hitting strikes, chops. It was just violence upon violence. You just never seen anything like this. If you haven't already, you must watch this. The full match is on social media, it's on YouTube, but go out of your way. New Japan World, njpwworld.com. It's so efficient. It's a great app. It's even good on your laptop, on your Fire Stick. I got to support NJPW World because you get events and matches like Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega. This was your outstanding matchup that you expect from Tokyo Dome, but you don't expect it to be transcendent, generational. This is one that people will talk about for years to come. And when I talk about 2023, I will tell people the match of the year was over for me at at first one. This was number one on my list. I was one of those first place votes here, but we had 11 nominations overall for this one and 5 first place votes. That is why Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega is number one on our list. But that is what we thought. That is not what you probably thought. So let us know what you thought in the comments down below. We love to hear your thoughts and interact with all of you. This is our list. Just don't be a dick. Tell us what you think. What is your list of the best matches of 2023? Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate the support. Drop the thumbs up, drop a comment down below, and let us know your favorite matchup from 2023. But that is True Hill Heat's top 20 best matches of 2023. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3, and I am signing off until next time. Peace, y'all.